Redemption down right. Dives like. They kill Jensen. Give it hold. Delays Jensen.
I feel life too much. I feel high, I feel low.
Disaster for Cloud9.
I've been thinking on my sins for the last 4 blocks. That's 2 Hail Marys and a half point shot. Something tough on myself. Drag my body through the belt and vow to do the most. Leave none for later. Pray for my haters.
Jensen didn't get his Zonias off, didn't get his ultimate off. He goes down in the critical fight.
Where you at? Where you at? Get relentless with it. Where you at? Where you at? Let's get reckless with it. Where you at? How I love it, live it, attack it. I keep coming and I get it. Right now more than ever.
It's those tiny moments in these games that make or break the team.
Hello and welcome back, everyone, to our opening weekend of the Summer Split here in North America. There's another full day of action on the horizon as 6 more teams make their summer premiere. We've got Team Liquid entering the studio moments ago as they're gearing up here. Golden Glue back in the lineup. Piglet back to ADC. We'll see how that roster makes their return. High on his way into the studio as well. Of course, they're welcoming back Wild Turtle, while CLG, hot off their victory last night, making their way down the hallways, getting readied up for their game today. Here's that Wild Turtle shot that we're looking for. We'll see how he slots into the team. And Echo Fox making their way to the stage moments ago. Hello, everyone. I'm James Dash Patterson. Joining me on the analyst desk are Mark Zimmerman and Sam Kobe Hartman-Kensler for our second day of action here in the North American LCS. How are we doing today?
Like the great words of Tom DeLonge, I missed you, Dash. I'm happy to be back.
I missed you too.
Yeah,
I missed you too. Were those great words? I missed you.
It's the song by Blink-182.
But in general, that's just a common phrase.
Yeah, well, I'm specifically quoting that song.
Okay, I got it. Kobe,
I'm not going to take part in this intro. Do not approve.
All right.
That's fine with me.
I'll give you a thumbs up.
We're going to blow right through this. Before we get into today's matches, let's get a refresher of how yesterday played out. New rosters were in style last night as both CLG and Immortals found upsets in their first match of the split, while Cloud9 and Phoenix1 look to bounce back before week 1 ends. We'll see who else can debut with a win in our matches today. It all starts with Counterlogic Gaming versus Team Liquid in the Battle Arena. Then NALCS1 presents a rematch of our spring finals as TSM and Cloud9 take to the stage. Over on NALCS2, Wild Turtle makes his premiere on FlyQuest against Echo Fox. After that, Team Dignitas duke it out opposite Team Envy in the Battle Theater. So a lot of matchups today. Last night, we saw CLG and Immortals starting off strong. The two teams, they had the big trade we were talking about in the offseason. Smithy for Dardoch, both teams coming away with a win, so it looks like the trade worked out for both of them.
Yeah, I mean, big trade and big upsets, honestly, because both of them, take down some top contenders. Cloud9 and Phoenix1 were at the very top of the playoffs in last split. Now, the reason this was such a highly talked about trade, not only was it one of the only trades that actually occurred in the offseason, but Smithy and Dardoch are such different style junglers. Dardoch, everyone thought he was coming into CLG, he's going to be super active, playmaker, creating skirmishes, winning those skirmishes, and trying to carry this team to victory. That didn't necessarily happen. CLG kind of won as a team around Dardoch. Meanwhile, Smithy actually stepped up very big for Immortals. He came in, set up so many plays for them, really helped those carries get going.
It was still a different look for Immortals overall, though, where previously their whole identity was kind of based around Dardoch going off in the early game and the rest of the team following up on that. While Smithy was still the playmaker, it was more like Pobelter shining and other carries on the team. And that was the big thing with this trade, was like asking if these teams and players could actually change to new styles. So like you said, Dardoch didn't need to carry this time. He's on a team with Afro and Zix. It was actually more of the game plan behind the whole team comp that led him to let them win. It wasn't Dardoch just going crazy in the early game.
As was mentioned, both games yesterday, upsets considering spring's final standings. But Cloud9, they've got the task of rebounding today against a tougher opponent in TSM, who are welcoming back Doublelift to the lineup.
Exactly. All eyes are on Doublelift. This reminds everybody of the TSM that went 17-1. And not only does Doublelift, yes, he has a good laning phase, and people like to talk about the CS differences. However, the biggest thing for me is the shot calling aspect. that he brings back to the team. Because one of the biggest criticisms for TSM, especially at MSI that they're just now coming back from, is that, you know, they weren't as proactive as you'd like to see. And a lot of the mid-game really got bogged down, you know, couldn't quite finish them off. Double Lift, they've all talked about how he's the more aggressive shot caller and can maybe direct them in that way.
And while it's nice that Double Lift's coming back, it is joining a TSM that's probably pretty burnt out a little bit. They've only been scrimming for like a week and a half compared to a lot of the teams that were scrimming during MSI, so they've had 3 weeks of prep getting ready for this new patch. TSM a little bit on the back foot. And then C9 losing yesterday are going to be really hungry to kind of avenge themselves, as well as, you know, losing in the finals to TSM. So this could be a little bit of a trap game if you're a TSM fan, that they could drop this one because it's just tough to come after that quick turnaround time.
I mean, they could drop it just because literally these teams were so close even in the finals, right? Pretty evenly matched.
And while Double Lift slots in, Wild Turtle's going to be shifting over to FlyQuest. We talked about it with Zyrene a little bit yesterday, but actually returning to a team with high elimination balls, you know, echoing the Quantic days and such. So we'll see how he, you know, in his aggressive play style can kind of mesh with a team that we generally look at as one that is willing to take risks and make big moves.
That's the thing is when you had Alltech on the team, it's kind of everyone flying in, going crazy, and he would be back in the back line trying to be, you know, the consistent AD carry. Now Turtle's going to be joining them going crazy most likely in the front line dive. So it's a different look on the same team probably.
Yeah, I mean, I actually really did enjoy, you know, some of Alltech's play as well. The Mordekaiser and all the, you know, weird bottom lanes that they were able to come up with. But everybody's excited to see how Turtle does perform because previously it was so much, especially about the early game, of High and Moon creating plays. You know, maybe they play more around bottom lane or something.
You talk about weird Mordekaiser picks. While we probably won't see Mordekaiser, let's talk about some of the champions that we might see and have seen so far. Of course, with the tank reworks, Zach was permabanned yesterday, but we also got to see the premiere, the debut of both Zaya and Rakan in the North American LCS just last night.
Yeah, and I think Zach, you can expect it to be permabanned a lot. It's one of those champions that just got so overbuffed to the point where it becomes everyone's top priority champion. Either you're banning it because you don't want to play it, or you're on red side, and then if you're on blue side, you're first picking it because you don't want to give this thing over. So it's kind of been forced into everyone's priority champion pool, not necessarily because they want to play it, as opposed to something like that Zaya and Rakan.
And it is really fun if he does get through picks and bans. I don't know.
You're in for a show, maybe.
As long as people have at least put a little bit of time in on the champion, I think they will want to play it. And the only thing, you know, we'll probably almost always see red side bans. If teams haven't put that time in, though, and you see blue side bans, that might be a little bit of a weakness. But the thing they mentioned with the Zaya and Rakan lane, that was really impressive to me because we saw it come out a little bit once in Korea, once in Europe, but Afromu and Stixxay absolutely crushed on this combo. You know, team fight after team fight after team fight. CLG didn't win that in the classic CLG way we know with shot calling or any sort of macro.
Playmaking.
That was with playmaking. That was with winning team fights with their combo.
And I gotta say, I love the way it looked too with those combos because we've been so used to seeing these kind of shield comps for so long now. That's a long, sustained DPS fight. Here it's just snap your fingers instantly. There's a big combination of the Zaya ult with the Orianna ult and the Rakan ult. So it's just this great combination of ultimates to see.
Lastly, I want to talk about the new big objective in Rift Herald. Of course, we did see it taken a few times last night, but it feels like as of yet we haven't seen it used to the greatest possible effect.
It's one of those things that people are still learning to harness properly. It has a lot of potential, not only in just finishing off turrets, which is kind of how people were using it previously that we saw yesterday, but in setting up more map plays. You can potentially put it where you're not, or you can do it after you get a kill. You can also use it to like dip in after you drop it to get vision control or potentially move into a dragon. There's a lot of situations that feels like it's relatively untapped based off what we saw yesterday.
Yeah, I really like the one where you can exploit if you seem to get a kill or you set up a play in one area of the map, knowing that you're going to want to get more out of a play, and maybe then you get multiple turrets. But so far, it's been half a turret or one turret at best.
Using the Rift Herald following a play as opposed to the Rift Herald itself being your play. Is that what you're talking about?
For the most part, yes.
Well,
sorry,
basically,
you weren't on camera, so your nod was, I knew that no viewer at home was seeing your agreement.
You just look crazy now.
So now I just look insane.
The other option that we like to look for, right, is, you know, playing it down on one side and creating a play somewhere else. But basically the forethought that goes into it hasn't really been there.
We're looking for more strategic diversity around that objective. Now, we want to know from you guys at home. We want to hear from you, rather. Show us how you're celebrating the first week of the summer split by tweeting to @LOL Esports with the hashtag HowILCS. We'll be checking in throughout the day and sharing your viewing experiences. Now, though, it's time to pass it off to the casters to get us into the matches. Enjoy.
Thank you very much, Dash. Welcome, everyone, to the Battle Arena. I'm Julian Patriot, I'm Car, and lucky me, I get to cast alongside Mr. Clean Calls himself, Isaac Azael Cummings-Bentley.
Come up with that one on your own?
Nope, definitely not. Riders, you're doing a great job. We begin our day with a battle between Canalogic Gaming and Team Liquid. Let's take a look at the starting lineups. On the blue side, they picked up a win yesterday. It's Counter Logic Gaming. We're going to start their season off even better. In the top lane, Darshan, new jungler Dardoch, mid laner Huhi, bot Stixay, support Apramu, and Coach Six.
And facing them on the red side today, making their summer split debut, it's going to be Team Liquid. In the top lane, Lorlo. In the jungle, Rainover. Mid lane, Golden Glue. Bot lane, Piglet. Support Matt with Coach D. Lim, who's filling in today.
Certainly is, and last night, CLG's premiere must instill some confidence in fans wondering if the roster move would work, and honestly, Dardoch looking just fine.
Yeah, I mean, Dardoch was fine, but it was really the rest of CLG that did shine. Aphromu being back as that massive playmaker was so good on Rakan, really did have a great series for himself, and you know, a lot of people were talking about, well, why don't you ban Aurelion Sol? Who's going to let Huhi play Aurelion Sol? The fact of the matter is, you can't just ban out everything against CLG. They have such big champion pools. People are saying, oh, ban Aurelion Sol, ban Rakan and Xayah. Shouldn't give them that either. Well, what about Zach? Well, what about, Caitlyn and a lot of these other big picks for them? So, they have these great champion pools. It makes it hard to target them in the bans. And that being said, we need to see consistency from CLG because that's what they always seem to struggle with. They have a lot of ups and downs.
Certainly do. And today they go against Team Liquid, who surprised many, maybe in the wrong way, by bringing back the same roster after so many changes in spring that just didn't work out for the team.
Yeah, I mean, it seems a little bit insane when you think of the journey they had in spring. At the start of the season, we hear from Steve thinking they're going to go all the way to the finals, they're going to do so well. And then, disaster kind of strikes. They start making tons of changes. They move Piglet mid, they bring in Youngbin, then they get rid of him. They bring in Adrian, they bring in Doublelift, they barely avoid relegations. And now, a few months later, we're back to the exact same roster. And sure, Golden Glue went to Korea for a few weeks to train, but is he really that much better? And the organization is putting a lot of emphasis on the team improving with their new coach Kane, who's not on stage here today, but is training with the team. And we'll have to see if it's actually going to make a difference.
Exactly. For Team Liquid, it feels like they are trying so many different things to get it happening. But again, it really does have to work at some point because it just didn't work in spring, unfortunately.
No, not at all. And I mean, it's kind of strange to see them back to this roster, because they had made so many changes and none of those changes stuck. The original roster wasn't working either. So, definitely a lot to prove here, I think, for Golden Glue and all of Team Liquid.
Yep, certainly feels like where some might scratch their heads at Team Liquid's decision. Lolo is confident his team can perform in summer.
Yeah, so leading to summer, I think people are going to just doubt us from the start because we're going back to what didn't work from spring. But I think with Grayson being more motivated than ever, coming back from Korea, and also the addition of Kane, I think this roster actually has a lot of potential that people don't take into account. And yeah, I think with time, throughout the summer, we'll grow a lot, and I think we'll be a playoff team. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Well, certainly good to see some confidence from Lolo, a player that definitely also had a few good weeks. And that was the thing for me for Team Liquid Spring. And I think week 1, 2 thumbs up. And every other week was a mess, to say the very least. So I think momentum is important for both Liquid and CLG, as it always is at the start of a season.
Yeah, it really is going to be. And we have to see good performances from more than just Golden Glue, because TL's bot lane in particular was really struggling. And Rainover as well had not really reached his former MVP form. A lot of people are talking with Rainover. Maybe the meta fits him better now with things like Zac and Sejuani and Olaf and even Gragas jungle. That was his bread and butter when he was really shining and crushing in NA and EU. And for Piglet as well, I mean, there's a lot of protect the AD carry, hyper carry type compositions you can run, and there's a lot of dueling powerful marksmen you can run as well. And Piglet had been complaining about utility AD carries. AD carries can't do anything. Marksmen have no effect on the game, and while I disagreed then, it's certainly not true now. So if he cannot perform in this meta, I don't think he can perform in any meta.
Well, we'll see what happens because the draft has targeted a lot of junglers here in the first 4 bans. CLG on the blue side banning Olaf, Ivern, with 1 more now to go, and Zac Lee Sin bound there for Liquid as Galio will actually be CLG's last ban. So yeah, 4 junglers already with maybe another one to come. There's Gragas, so effectively another jungler taken.
Yeah, a lot of jungle bans here. And I mean, honestly, I feel like this favors Dardoch probably more than anything because he does like to play the more aggressive junglers. Obviously, there are still picks available here for Rainover, things like Kha'Zix Elise. Elise is going to be first pick, but this gives the opportunity to give over something like Caitlyn Lulu, which I think is a very powerful first round. You can also go with Karma if you prioritize that over the Lulu. But I think that drafting a very strong bot lane here for TL would make a lot of sense, and then you can pick up your jungler as that third pick. Zaya Rakan,
yeah, that's the other option, right? You have 2 picks here to make. You can take a very strong bottom lane, or you can maybe complete it a little later. Very interesting to see Rengar picked up so early, especially for a player like Rainover. But Rakan being picked early kind of says, CLG, do you want to take Zaya? Because if you want to take it away from us, you need to take it now.
And I mean, it's a little bit strange to me because generally speaking, the kind of conventional wisdom right now is that Zaya works independently of Rakan, but Rakan is not considered strong independently of Zaya. So you do give CLG the opportunity to actually pick away Zaya and break up that combo if they do want. Or they can simply be happy to match it because Zaya can struggle early in lanes, and there is still Caitlyn available, which is a huge pick for Stixxay, and you can pick some very, very strong bully lanes.
Well, we'll see what CLG want to do here. Looks like Shen already locked in, and there's the Caitlyn. So just eschewing the Zaya, saying, you know what, you can have it, take that dual lane. We played it yesterday, we know how it works, we're confident we can play against it.
And they may not even go for the Zaya, right? This may have been a bit of a bait to try to, force CLG into picking Zaya so that they can take Caitlyn, which they may feel is more advantageous. Certainly can be a lot of mind games going into pick bans like this. Fiora definitely would be a really good pick here into the Shen, though, for Lorlo. It's something that he spams in solo queue. He has a lot of experience on it. Darshan has a lot of experience playing on and against Fiora here, too, but it's sometimes pretty inevitable how that matchup goes. If you get to a certain point, Shen cannot compete whatsoever.
Well, it's funny. I mentioned, Lolo and Team Liquid had some really strong performances very early in spring this year, and it was on Fiora where Lolo was looking good. Certainly a top laner that's picking up a lot of steam, especially with all the tanks running around. So I like what Liquid have done here, but they're going to ban Karma as we move into phase 2 of the ban. So targeting some of those strong supports, they have one of their own, so they're going to try and take some options away from Aphromoo, as there's the Ashe ban for CLG. So it looks like we'll be trading bottom lane bans here.
Yeah, and it's Brilliant Soul taken off the table, so all of Reddit can rejoice. They did ban it. There you go. Hui not going to be able to pick this up, but that does mean something like Lulu is still available. Theoretically, Golden Glue could be playing that mid, like you could still grab that for Liquid, but it's not something you're expecting whatsoever. And we don't really know exactly what Piglet wants to run here, because right now you have essentially a split pusher on the Fiora, you have some pick with Rengar, you have your support, but you have not shown, are you running like a hard carry type ADC? Well, you're not at all. You're being supportive.
Picking Jhin, which is actually very interesting. Again, Piglet, the type of player that traditionally has been very comfortable and very vocal about the power of more of these late game carries. Twitch is running around. You can even play something like Lucian, or even go later with something like Pogmore. So seeing Jhin is very surprising because he's not on anyone's radar, it feels like.
No, and I mean, this is a champion that he had never really liked to play. He was very vocal about how much he disliked the utility style AD carries. That said, there are some pretty interesting Jhin builds floating around. Most notably, people are doing a Death Stance rush. So you just start Doran Shield, you go straight into Death Stance. You can even go Death Stance PD, Death Stance Rapid Fire, this sort of thing. And you can actually become very, very tanky. It's pretty crazy, especially in combination with Warlord's Bloodlust. You can be pretty hard to take down.
Yeah, kind of interesting to see how this one works out. Apparently on our other stream, Total's also picked up Jhin up as well, so maybe some of these teams have it prepared. Bardo for Aphromoo doesn't go for Zara, doesn't go for Lulu, wants a bit more of that playmaking, and there's a very safe blind pick Ahri to finish the draft for CLG.
Yeah, and then this team for CLG is a lot of playmaking. I mean, it's diving in with the Ahri, supported by that Shen ultimate. It's looking for picks with the Elise. It's looking for picks with the Bard, and it's much more about that. This is not really a composition that you're drafting for straight up 5v5, kind of smack your head against each other. But really, neither is Team Liquid. They're looking to split push. They're looking to spread the map, but CLG has drafted themselves quite a few ways to actually collapse on the split pusher Fiora and take him out with both that Bard and the Elise.
Yep, last pick Orianna though for Team Liquid means that a lot of really cool ultimate combinations between jungler support and mid lane, so maybe some action there for Team Liquid. We'll have to commit a few bigger cooldowns to make a bigger play, but the reward is higher if you're successful.
It certainly is, but that said, Ahri is generally considered quite a good matchup into Orianna, so the last pick there for TL, I'm not gonna say it's a counter, but they essentially counterpicked themselves, right? They gave themselves a bit of a tough lane in the mid lane, I think. So that is something that Golden Glue is gonna have to be aware of because he had really struggled last split. And Hui, had some great games yesterday. If he gets going, CLG could look unstoppable.
Yeah, it certainly does feel like laning was one of Golden Glue's struggles when he was playing earlier in spring, and Hui has been on fire all year long, it really feels like. Kind of risen from kind of an underwhelming player in a lot of people's eyes to now at least a big playmaker for CLG, if not more. Yes, he oversteps his boundaries like a lot of CLG does every now and then, but for the most part, staying very consistent.
And to me, the thing with who he is, he was always that big playmaker. It's just sometimes when you are always going for these big plays, he overreaches and he ends up falling flat. I mean, the Talia ultimate yesterday was pretty silly, but then he turns around and he hard carries a game on Aurelion Sol. He has an incredible performance on Orianna. So this is a guy who, to me, has been the best performing player on CLG for this year as a whole. And I think who he is really having a bit of a breakout year.
Well, certainly looking good so far. CLG already one win on the weekend. We'll see if they can make it too. But Team Liquid back to business here in the NALCS. We'll see what the new old roster can get done in their first game.
Yeah, everyone's kind of counting them out, right? And we've seen a lot of teams prove people wrong, defy expectations. You look to FlyQuest for certain as one of those teams who was able to do that last split where people had them pegged as a last place team and they were able to break that and play really well together. So TL certainly is capable of it. They just haven't shown it yet.
And I do like him in CLG. I think a lot of standard picks for them, very safe, lots of good picks, some great tools built into their comp. On the TL side, definitely a different look, but I actually want to start in bottom lane because Jin and Rakan, particularly without Xayah, maybe not the picks you would have expected coming into the weekend.
Yeah, I would agree. It's definitely not picks you are expecting. That said, there is a lot of CC potential there. You know, we saw a lot of the combos actually showcased by Aphromoo yesterday, things that you can do. RW is really one of the biggest ones because the W doesn't CC you until it actually lands. It's like the first part is an instant travel, but then the second part is what CCs you. When you use your ultimate first, you're immediately CC'd straight into that W. And Jin can follow up if you hit any of that with his roots. You're having a lot of CC. You have empowered Bola from Reignover. So, you know, if you hit level 6, like that's an incredible amount of almost unavoidable CC that could come out.
Well, we'll see what happens. See if it's your dual lane as Reignover going to start on these Raptors with a bit of help from Golden Glue, Dashlan, and Huhi, though. Going to poke their way in and try and disrupt this. Just needs to soak a little bit of extra XP, and Dashlan already steals one away, steals two away, actually, as Reignover jumps his way back in. Now furious as Lolo's roamed down as well. Dashlan probably a little too far forward. Smite there from Reignover, but Dashlan going to get chased down. Nowhere good to flash, and that's first blood to Lolo.
I mean, what is he thinking? The first third of the play is kind of cool. Great. You stole away a chicken or two, but like, what else is going to happen? He stays there and he blows his flash when he's already 100% dead. So that's giving first blood over to the Fiora. That was an awful play from Darshan.
Yep, and looking at Dardoch starting on the other side, actually going to get the invade on the blue as Matt looks for a knockup with the grand entrance, but doesn't get it. Aphromoo chunk low, but so is Piglet as Stixay firing headshots in. That's Matt flushed away. Stixay flashes forward. Afro autos through. Needs one more. The Q's going to miss, but Afro so low as he heals himself back up. Hits level 2, but Piglet snipes him.
CLG going aggressive, and they miss the Peacemaker from Stixay. They can't get that final auto attack off, and now Dardoch is here.
No, he got rooted. The knockup from Matt already in. Stixay tanking the turret as Dardoch wants to flash away. Piglet gets the next kill, and now Stixay absolutely lined up. Warlord's procs on Piglet. He's going to snipe the next kill. There's a double.
All right, this has got to be the most disastrous start I've seen in such a long time. Everything goes wrong. First, they give up first blood to the Fiora in an awful invade. Now, I don't even know what to say about that dive, but incredible outplays from the TL bot lane, and Jin is 3-0 at 3 minutes.
I mean, we question, you know, how good is the Jin pick? Well, with 3 early kills, almost any AD is going to look good.
Yeah, and I mean, they decided to go very aggressive here with the all-in. Stixay had a nice sidestep. They feel like they can commit because all the damage was really put onto Aphromoo, and had that Peacemaker hit, they probably would have had the kill. It was a really nice sidestep from Matt, but then taking that turret shot from Aphromoo means he's going to get taken down. Now, pushing forward, they think they can actually pull off this dive, but again, it was good CC landed onto Dardoch. They see him coming in. The root into the stun. Dardoch is extremely low. The Ignite was still available, which is something they may not have actually calculated for, but that is just everything going wrong, and really nice plays. Mostly credit to Matt, I would say, for both the sidestep on the original Peacemaker and then landing that CC on Elise coming in.
All right, so something I need to ask you about, because I'm actually not sure how this interaction works, is taunt there for Darshan onto Lolo. Might have to wait. Bit of poke back and forth. Lolo looking good in the lane right now. Piglet primed that Jin W very early. I feel like Matt's W just traveling there was enough to set off the route.
Yeah, that's what it looked like to me as well. It could be that there was an auto attack that went off first that we didn't actually see from the Rakan, because that auto attack animation is very quick. But it did appear that the first part of it, and as Lorlo actually goes down to the top lane.
Nice little dive there from Dardoch.
Yeah.
Finally making the right play around the enemy turret and getting some gold back into his team's pockets. I'm sure we'll get a look at that one in just a second. But Dardoch just never been one to shy away from going aggressive, even when the first play fails.
No, I mean, this is a guy who is going to carry some games for your team, right? Dardoch has always been a player with a lot of carry potential, very strong mechanical jungler, someone who can get the first bloods, who can snowball games, and you're definitely going to be looking for him to have that kind of a performance here. You know, when your team is quite behind, your jungler needs to get proactive and make plays happen.
Well, something like this, but we'll see how it all started. Dardoch, huge wraparound play with Lorlo too far forward.
Yeah, and I mean, Lorlo, in a play like this, you essentially have to parry the cocoon, and I just don't think he's going to do it. Yep, not able to actually get that off. You need to be able to use your W reactively on the cocoon to survive a gank like that as Fiora, and if you're going to push that far up without vision, you need to be able to have confidence in yourself to do that.
Well, Darshan's oopsie, somewhat righted by the play in the top lane, so top lane will be nice and even. Bottom lane, certainly not, though, as Piglet returns with a BF sword.
A BF sword to a pink ward. I'll let you answer which has more damage in this case. That's a pretty brutal buy for Stixxay. And I mean, the fact of the matter is, despite everything looking so awful for them, you know, they're quite a bit behind. Obviously, this gold lead this early on is very bad, especially for the individual lanes. But it's not monumental. As long as they don't lose turrets off this, as long as everything does not fall apart, this is a game that CLG can come back from. That said, you're looking, you know, at Matt and Piglet to dominate the lane at this point.
Charm missing there from Hui. Nice attempt on the ultimate. Going to get a bit of extra damage moving in, but that's all the charges now wasted. Golden Glue does have the cleanse as well, so pretty safe from the potential all-in. Lorlo riposts away. Darshan getting aggressive once more, but Lorlo now level 6, so Darshan going to have to be careful with those trades.
You really want to see Piglet and Matt like open up a CS lead, start pressuring turret and stuff, and after getting 3 kills and double buffs on the AD, they've essentially just traded farm, which does seem pretty strange to me that they're not willing to play that aggressive, but I guess the fact that Piglet is down flash, they're worried perhaps about a gank from Dardoch and don't want to actually, you know, get caught out and throw that away. But if you don't extend the lead, it's not going to matter too much in, you know, 5-6 minutes if you're up just 1K.
Yeah, I mean, Piglet does have actually 1,000 gold up right now, but you can see Stixxay's already gone back, answered that particular item buy. So at least for a few minutes, perhaps, there will be a parity in that lane. So CLG, I think everything again kind of bounced out. That total gold lead really just sitting on Piglet as Dardoch going to go ahead, take this red buff for himself. Should get that one nice and cleanly, and we'll see if, again, maybe he looks towards that bottom side. Piglet's flash will be back up very shortly, so probably not a timing window there, but Dardoch just clearing his jungle, going to go back, spend, and then make his next move.
And the other thing that CLG is going to have to start thinking about is where will Reignover go as he hits 6? Because Reignover has done basically nothing this whole game except farm. He's kind of walked around the map. He's getting some levels. He's actually behind Dardoch in experience, but should hit level 6 here. And if he passes that over, he probably won't. But anyway, he's very close to level 6, so he has another camp or 2. And then that first ultimate is so important for Rengar. Really being able to make something happen can often be the difference between being able to snowball those games and actually really get something going and having a pretty slow and effective game on Rengar.
Yep, I actually kind of like what Dardoch's done here with his early buys. Has, you know, the standard ward jungle item, which makes sense, but early mobility boots, this is common on a lot of aggressive junglers, particularly. But I like to refill Darksteel efficiently, but also to kind of reward him for successful aggression as well.
Yeah, and Darksteel can really pay off sometimes. TL is doing this early lane swap top. I don't think CLG is aware of it yet. They're going to try to get a kill on Darshan and then push on that turret. They have been spotted now, so CLG needs to respond properly. We'll see what their response is going to be. Afro and Dardoch are mid, and they may try to shove mid lane. They're leaving Stixxay bot, but Darshan cannot defend solo on that next wave, so they're going to need some more help to try to move up there or try to respond elsewhere on the map.
Yeah, Afro's actually going back, or was going back down towards the bottom lane, now riding back towards mid. Reignover did pop over, try and get the blue buff. Flash taunt's going to miss. Reignover with a nice flash there, just to get out of the regular taunt, excuse me.
Yeah, a lot of respect actually given to that flash. Very nervous about getting picked off, but seems like CLG is just going to straight up give up the turret and not really much of a response at all from them. They kind of shoved in mid and bot, but didn't really go for anything much. Yes, Stixxay will eventually take down this turret and he'll get solo gold, so that's something going for them. But I think they feel like they're in a position where even if it's a slightly disadvantaged trade, they're going to be okay to take it.
Well, Dardoch moving up again, has the blast cone, but 2v2 as Matt did stay around on Rakan. No ultimate though for him, but Dardoch going to give up that potential gank. Stixxay, like you said, does eventually get the trade, but first Torikohl going over to TL is nice. It's going to give extra advantages to Piglet, who was already ahead after the level 1.
But the thing you have to remember is, despite it being first turret gold, he did not get solo gold. And Stixxay is also getting all the farm. So a lot of the gold lead between the 80 carries is actually somewhat evaporated. You called it out when it was at 1K. It's actually only at 400 now because Stixxay gets all the farm and solo gold funneled into him. So they are kind of making that trade-off. Gold as a whole obviously goes to the advantage of TL, but it appears that that was a trade that CLG either were willing to make or just felt like they couldn't make a response to.
Well, certainly make sure they keep the gold even. As we've just crested the 10-minute mark right now, Golden Glue farming away. He's doing the same, so it looks like those first early buys will be out soon. And Piglet and Matt thinking of roaming down. Still have a bottom outer turret to deal with, so can stick back down there in the long lane if they've got enough vision. Other than that, I think lane assignments will be pretty interesting over the next few minutes because we've got two very open sides of the map that are on opposite sides, so team's going to have to play around long lanes early.
Yeah, and Darshan's going to have to play with a lot more respect given to over the Fiora now that his turret is actually down. Because you can get run down in these long lanes. As Fiora has that ultimate, you can get chased down. All the true damage really can take you by surprise. So Darshan's going to have to play pretty carefully here. This should work in TL's favor. They have their Fiora ahead. He's even picking up a cull, really just trying to focus on that scaling and getting to a point where he's unstoppable in that 1v1.
Yeah, looks like Tiamat battles have started in the top lane as well. Lolo, of course, will push this lane in eventually, so Darshan just goes back, buys his next few items. Going to start getting that lane pushing back.
Yeah, and Darshan, this is a little bit atypical in this matchup, but so far this year, it's what we have been seeing is just pretty much a straight-up rush.
Ooh, very nice smoke up there into the root. There's the Stand United on for the Shen. Dardoch trying to get out of it. Rainover runs in. There's the ulti out from Piglet looking for the sniper. Dardoch flashes in. The stun lands on after Rainover, and Stixxay grabs the first kill. There's a two-man off for Golden Glue, though, is Suhi still keeping the rest of TL out.
What a nice turnaround from CLG. Such fast reactions from the team to get down there. That is pretty crazy that they're the ones who come up with a 1-for-0 after that catch onto Dardoch. And Matt going in for that flash RW into the Rainover ultimate, but Rainover's the one that ends up going down.
Yeah, Junior also helping out. You can kind of see how all that CC can combine for a pick, but not getting one there and actually losing a kill. Real bad news for Team Liquid.
Yeah, and the fact that Elise can actually delay a lot with the repel in combination with that Shen ultimate meant that they had enough time for the team to get there to protect him and actually keep him from going down.
Dardoch actually could be in trouble.
We got it with the Hydra.
Steals it away. Stun does land, but Darshan not there to chase. Golden Glue also roaming back up.
That's so tilting. Just a casual walk up with the Tiamat. The proc actually is longer range than your auto attack. But here is the engage again. So flash RW, instant CC chain. This is basically unavoidable. But the Shen ultimate's already coming in. He repels to buy a little time. Probably could have actually sat in the repel longer. I think he actually misclicked and went down a bit too early there. But that said, the taunt into trap combination on Rengar, he did not have full stacks of his Fury, so he couldn't actually use his CC break to get out of there, and that's what causes Rainover to go down and expend his first ultimate.
Nice looking stuff there, and again, that play from Rakan really only available every 5 minutes when your flash is up, or maybe a little earlier given Masteries.
Yeah, you're going to go with Masteries. He also goes Lucidity here for lower cooldown there, so you can end up with, I believe it's about 30% lower cooldown with Insight plus Lucidity. So it does end up being a fair bit shorter, but it is still quite a long cooldown. It's a big commitment.
A little better there is still on TL's bot lane. Piglet now has that Infinity Edge first, so no Death Dance Rush just yet. But certainly very powerful early on. Again, all the early advantage that's funneled into Piglet, despite the fact that he is actually down a significant amount of CS still, means that he will still be very powerful. As you can see, the goal between the two actually even, which I think is a big win for CLG given how the lane started, but not to undersell Piglet's current power either.
Yeah, Piglet is really strong, but are you happy with a situation where your AD 3 minutes in, got a triple kill and double buffs and is now even with the other AD carry? To me, that is a failure on TL's part for not actually extending that advantage, for not bullying the lane, for not taking towers and doing things like this. So we'll see how it goes as we go forward. And as far as the IE versus the Death Dance, IE is obviously much more powerful offensive. It's just that you're very squishy, you're more susceptible, and he's not necessarily worried about that. So he's going to have a lot of offensive power with his build and probably going to rapid fire.
It does feel like CLG, though, looking good as far as Early aggression goes once again, kind of dictating a lot of the plays in this game, despite being down in gold. 3-man aggression onto this top outer turret should get it for them pretty cleanly. Piglet working on the trades on the bottom side of the map. Rainover's going to join him, but CLG push through, threaten that tier 2 as well.
Yeah, it's going to be CLG faster on this play. I mean, Rainover is actually jungling while Dardoch is killing the turrets. He's actually hitting the turrets with the Lease and the red buff, so they're going to get 2 turrets for 1. CLG, with how badly this game started, is getting way more than they should be able to, and they're just simply outplaying TL on the macro level.
Yep, and Gold lead pretty much even at this point, about 500 up for Team Liquid, but it was 1,000 at 8 minutes or so. It stayed 1,000 around 15, and now CLG have even done a good job evening that back up and move back to the Rift Child. This is why it's so nice to play on the top side now, because you don't just get turrets, you actually get an objective as well.
Yeah, and that's almost the equivalent of getting another turret. If they set it up properly, with Caitlyn in that mid lane, they should be able to crack the last outer. So CLG is doing a very good job moving around the map, accomplishing this, and do that 1K gold lead that you're talking about. They had an over 1K gold lead at 3 minutes, right? Like, that is insane. And now it's actually CLG that has the tempo, and if they can crack one more turret with their Rift, they're actually up in gold too.
Oh, good charm there onto Rainover. Great bit of poke damage there from Huhi. The Merlin Nomicon already finished, actually answered by Golden Glue also, but early mid lane power there is, I think TL are expecting some sort of siege here in the mid lane. Everyone grouped around. They know CLG have the Herald. It's actually on Afro. He's the one holding the portal that summons the big monster. Slow lane now going to go back, and we'll see how TL reacts to CLG's next play.
And we have to remember, CLG does have a couple minutes before they have to summon it. It lasts 4 or 5 minutes or so, and you can actually choose when to drop it. Ideally for CLG, they're looking to try to get a pick, then drop it, because then you can often force and get, maybe 2 turrets even. Whereas if TL's fully prepared, you might not even get the 1. So TL's definitely trying to be very cognizant of this, play as a group, and that's why they're kind of stacked 4 in the mid lane. They don't want to risk someone getting picked off and losing multiple turrets to this Rift Herald.
Well, seems like the setup's now here for CLG, though. Bottom lane pushing out for them. TL camping left side mid brush, trying to hope somebody walks a greedy route back up towards the top half. They've got Darshan as well, TP and ulti ready with level 11, not too far off for that Shen. So all that global pressure in play now for CLG, and it is interesting to see the game change so quickly just based on this one cooldown that CLG have for the next few minutes.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's forcing them to group, and we heard Kobe and Mark and Dash talking about on the desk some of the different ways that you can use the Rift. One of the things that we haven't really seen in the NALCS just yet is you can actually go and even drop it, say, bot lane in your base as you start pushing top or mid. It'll take some time for it to get out, but then it works very similarly to, a slow push with like super minions and this sort of thing. It's a lot of pressure that someone has to answer, and then if they do go to answer, you can try to dive on the other side or really aggressively siege the turret there. So the Rift Herald doesn't always have to be the one to kill the turret to get you that advantage.
Certainly not here. I was actually somewhat expecting it to maybe be on Shen as cool cross-map plays you can maybe make, but instead CLG to say, you know what, we have complete control of the right-hand side of the map as well. TL all sitting mid, where he's pushing up towards the bottom lane, so Dardoch's going to go ahead and solo the first Drake of this game for his team. Ocean Drake should be over, but a dive in top lane, in onto Darshan. There's a good Spirit's Refuge there for Darshan to protect him. Dive still coming out. Lolo's still looking to go in, but needs a few more vitals. One more in, Flash is over, but a great Bard ultimate might save Darshan, and it will.
He actually parried the Bard, which is going to get a kill.
Afro gets the stun, portal through the wall, and takes down Lolo.
Afro, are you kidding me? The king is back. The NALCS support god.
Play's still going. Huhi actually in trouble, but Darshan could save his teammate. Does do so as TL try the counter kill. Bullets now flying through. Darshan needs the first one. Dardoch gonna tank the next two. Only one left. Does tag Darshan, but it's not enough for a kill.
What a ridiculous series of events. I mean, that was a very scary dive that they were going for. A lot of really smart plays happen on both sides that we can unpack if we do end up seeing the replay, but the action is not stopping. As it looks like TL is going to try to push down mid here.
Oh, another stun there. Afro moves so accurate now. Dardoch, plenty of burst to try and take down Rainover. It's going to force the flash out, but Darshan flash chance on, completes the CC chain and gets credit for the kill.
And Darshan started that TP so early. As soon as they saw that Rainover was invading, he already was TPing into the river and was there in time to land that CC. And CLG, after an awful start, is looking so good. They have gotten a kill. No one is here to clear mid lane. This turret is going down for free. The question is, can TL actually defend the next turret?
What a great sequence of plays for CLG to get themselves a pick and now get huge pressure with the Rift turret here. I mean, this turret,
They're gonna get
already
two.
50% health. This turret should be dead. TL needs to pour everything into this defense, but the turret's already down. Matt tries to dive in. Shockwave only hits one as it tags the bar. There's a shutdown for Darshan. Takes down Piglet on the chin. That's who he's chasing now. Golden Glue. Dardoch repels in. Flash Venomous Bite to take him down. And now Dardoch trying to get out. Will get killed by Lolo, diving a little too far as Rainover dives in onto Stixay, but Stixay nets out of the way. Portal there to try and save him. Knock up onto Darshan, but he taunts out towards the portal. Afro, all the exits for his team.
CLG is just getting everything. They get the kills, they get 2 turrets in the mid lane, and that was the best Rift Herald we have seen so far in the NALCS as far as effectiveness. They held it for a long time, but they're able to get the pick, and then look at the damage coming in. The turret goes down so quickly. Matt goes in for that engage, is able to land that, but the Shockwave pretty ineffective, only catching Aphromoo. And in the backline, who he is able to solo out Piglet, who's the most fed member, despite everyone being around there to peel for him, and CLG able to get out on the Bard portal.
Yep, Dardoch diving in to make sure both carriers of TL go down, and pretty easy exit from that point there for CLG, who are now up 2,000 gold and a whole host of turrets. 5-2 is a massive map advantage.
It really is. It's just not the way you expect the game to go when you're saying, okay, Fiora has first blood, we're going to smash that side lane. Our bot lane has 3 kills, well, that side lane should be free too. Mid lane pretty even, you know, the game should be very well in TL's hands, but CLG has been moving around very well and you know, exerting their dominance.
Another great little combo there, Dardoch and Huhi teaming up for that Cocoon plus Charm combo. It's been a classic pick duo pretty much ever since those champions have been in league. So again, there's also that there for CLG. They don't have to commit very much to try and look for a pick, and as soon as a 5v4 starts with a team that has this much map sense and this much global pressure with their Shen, it feels like every time TL lose something, they're in threat of losing so much more. And I think that's the big fear for me at this point in the game. Yes, it still looks relatively close, and Lolo's powering up. Piglet will get stronger. Mid lane being even is good, but CLG just are so good at applying pressure.
Yeah, and that really is the concern for TL. What they need to do is basically just hang on, right? You need to slow down the game. You don't need to do anything too crazy. Yes, you kind of threw away your lead now, but you still can very easily win this game through a fed Fiora, through that split push game plan. And that's what they should be looking towards now, right? We almost have Lorlo on his 2 items. At 2 items, you can start to dominate the Shen in the 1v1. At 3 items, when you have a Bloodthirst or a Death Dance on top of that, you can start to turret dive him from full health, and you don't even lose HP. So, like, it gets really bad for the Shen, and that's what they need to look towards.
Well, that first jumping off point almost there for Lolo. See if he can hit that 3-item market. A good clip and then take over that side lane. CLG, though, still hiding with their Bard ulti. With the release Cocoon. Trying to see if they can spot somebody. Golden Glue in trouble.
Trap.
First bit of stasis. Trap lands in. There's the root after it. As Matt's going to try and peel for the team. Dardoch already takes him down, but he does go down to Rainover. So 1-for-1 trade, but I'll take jungle for mid lane almost every day.
Yeah, that's a lot of their wave clear, right? That's almost all of their wave clear in this composition, so they're going to get sieged on now without the Orianna. CLG can actually threaten the inhibitor.
Great double taunt there for Darshan. Waits for Matt to commit, and then they get an easy double kill. Piglet had no flash there.
They're going to get an inhibitor here at 22 minutes. I think they should be able to go all the way. There's no wave clear on Rainover or Lorlo. Lorlo just has no choice but to continue pushing, and it's so long until the bot lane is up. No chance to defend this, and they should be able to get back in time. They could perhaps even threaten Baron.
First turret is going to get saved. Mid and hip should fall down quickly here, and Darshan already peeling back to try and answer that push. In fact, Dardoch, he's respawned. He went down in that first trade, so he's going to run down and challenge Lolo first. Darshan going to reset. The rest of CLG going to hit their recalls, and 23 minutes in, inhibitor already busted down. That's bad news for Team Liquid.
Yeah, it's really bad news, and this could be even worse, but okay, no, CLG could have looked to collapse with the Moby Boots at least chasing down Fiora, but they decide just to reset, and I think that is the smarter play. It's kind of the safer play. Dragon is coming up. That's something that they could look to pick up, and as a siege composition, you're always going to love to have that. If you eat a shockwave on 6A or whatever, he doesn't even have to lifesteal up. You just step back, let the oceans do their work, and pick you right back up.
See Dardoch actually just constantly harassing Lolo, forcing that recall later and later. Again, he knows he's got complete control of this right-hand side of the map, so he'll go ahead and solo this Drake. And like a lot of Elises, this isn't uncommon, certainly, but it does fit Dardoch. Very aggressive Elise build here as well. It's pretty much full damage items right now. Gonna make that Drake take even easier, but you can see why Lolo was also like, I don't really want to challenge you 1v1 because you do a lot of damage.
Yeah, you definitely don't really want to fight him, especially as when Fiora's that's the big problem, right? If Lorlo was sitting on a full mana bar, I think you can win that pretty comfortably, but you don't know where the team is, and you don't have mana, so you're not going to mess around with him. And, you know, CLG is just going to continue to siege. It's really only the wave clear from Golden Glue, and Golden Glue is mid lane. So if Golden Glue is mid lane, this is a free turret, and that's what CLG is capitalizing on. They're just moving around the map so much better than TL. And TL is looking very out of sorts.
And you can kind of see, like, this gold graph telling a lot of the early story. That lead for TL built up, CLG managed to bring it back, and then ever since then, it's just almost been up and up and up for CLG. The gold lead continues to grow. Their turret lead's been massive all game long, and there's a nice jump onto Reina. We're going to force Matt in to try and save him, but with the Banshees, 2 items here for the Ahri, Hui able to play nice and aggressive with his ulti.
Oh, he got Golden Glue again.
There's another trap. Darshan gonna look for the taunt. Rooted already there as Darshan on a killing spree takes him down. Reina over low. Matt's gonna have to blink out of the way as he taps
and then
back towards
TP's
Piglet.
canceled. CLG could just go for the win. They could actually just go straight
Still
forward.
diving, good shot onto Reina, but Hui needs a few more left, and there's a Foxfire to take him down. CLG opening up the map.
They're going to look to end the game here, I think. There's no wave clear. Lorlo is in the bot lane. You just go straight for the Nexus. I don't think there's anything TL can do.
Piglet zoned out of the way. First Nexus turret going to get worked on. Could be a very early end as Piglet opens up with the ultimate. Third bullet fired. There's the fourth tank by Darshan. Nexus going to be open nice and soon. Team Liquid need to do something now. Matt gets a knockback, but he's got to move back towards Lorlo, and the Nexus it's just open. 10 seconds left on Golden Glue.
Went off to the side, though.
I mean, he's doing a little bit of 1v1 of the Fiora. Maybe not recommended. Darshan with an extra shield. We'll see if TL can make it back with the Nexus still open. Piglet zone completely off of this one. And they're just going to slowly hit the Nexus out. Golden Glue moves forward. But there's game 1, CLG.
A 26-minute win when you are down nearly 2,000 gold before 5 minutes. This is one of the fastest wins you will see in the NALCS, and this was complete domination from CLG after what is the worst start I have seen in recent memory. Like, it's incredible how much they dominated this game with how bad their start was. Like, that was ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, you see 4-0 there for Team Liquid very early on, off of multiple CLG mistakes. And they still managed to say, you know what, we're CLG, we know how to play our game, and they did dominate, but I think in a way that really only this team does. They played the map well, they understood where they needed to be, and they just acted so decisively every time they set up a play.
Yeah, they really did, and this was kind of CLG macro at their finest. You know, when CLG is a really good team, it's oftentimes through their map movement, through the playmaking of Aphromoo, and this is, you know, kind of classic CLG, looking very good, and for TL, it's hard to think of a more demoralizing way to win than when you have every advantage gifted to you in the world at the start of the game, and you still can't do anything with it.
Certainly not a good start there, but for more on that comeback victory from CLG, let's send it down to our analysts.
Thank you very much, Pastry Time. That's right. CLG with the comeback victory after putting themselves in a hole, if we're being entirely honest.
Quite the hole.
Yeah. A lot of aggressive moves in the early game here from CLG, starting at level 1, which don't work out in their favor, but somehow they're able to claw back into it, and I want to explore why. Because first of all, as Azale just mentioned, that doesn't bode well for Team Liquid, a roster that we saw struggle in the spring in terms of pushing advantages and closing out games, to be right back here in game 1 at the beginning of the split and throw away a lead.
I think part of it comes down to draft because you saw the 2 bans being the Ashe and Varus bans coming in the second rotation for CLG. I thought those were pretty smart because Rakan with Jhin does not seem to have any inherent synergies in lane, so you get this big advantage, and then it's like, how do you use those with those 3 kills on Jhin? They couldn't find a way to do that, and then you also counterpick yourself mid lane, so you don't have that many pressure points available on the map.
Yeah, it did seem a little bit off for Team Liquid as far as their draft for the type of plays that you expect with them. They did set up for a possible win condition of split pushing for Lorlo with Fiora, but man, I think we should just jump straight ahead to the stuff you're talking about, James, because CLG gave them so much money early on in the game as far as funding that game plan of the split push Fiora.
Yeah, let's take a look at CLG hand-feeding Team Liquid some kills here to give them that advantage that you guys speak of. I mean, Darshan, again, is a cute look to take away a Raptor or 2. We've seen many teams do this in the past, but you've overcommitted at this point.
Yeah, so it's cool to get a Raptor, one of the chickens to steal at the beginning, but then he's like, oh, I got one, I can see another one, and he tunnel vision on those chickens, doesn't realize the rest of the team is collapsing, and like I said, that kill went over to the Fiora that should be able to get to a very big split pushing threat. Meanwhile, The whole bottom lane thing is another deal.
Yeah, you're talking about tunnel vision. Here we go. Like, Matt gets low, you force him out, you try and get that last hit, doesn't quite work. Afro walks into turret range, he gets hit up, and now Piglet has a chase down kill onto him. All right, unfortunate, but you can maybe recover from this. Dardoch, because Rainover was put behind, was deep invade on the jungle. He's like, well, maybe I can find a kill here. So now he starts walking up. Instantly, they turn onto him. He starts getting forced out, can't do anything about that, and now the entire team is going to get chased down.
I mean, you're Elise, I guess, at level 3. You feel slightly empowered to dive a turret, but still not recommended. But what this looks like to me is very much a Dardoch-styled team, right? This is something that Immortals of old would be doing in terms of making aggressive plays and looking to build leads early that they can continue to push throughout the game. I don't feel like CLG as a roster, when you've got Afro Moo, and Huki and Darshan and Stixay, you know, on the team, needs to go for these aggressive plays.
I mean, it looked to me like it was some panic setting in when, oh no, we messed up, and it spreads to every other member. They're like, we got to get this back. Oh no, we're on the bottom side. We have to create this play. And it was so weird too, because it starts out, we're all like, oh, Matt is messing up right now. Matt is getting absolutely blasted here. He should die, but he dodges the Peacemaker. And then that's what causes Afromu to get baited into the turret shot, I guess. So, I mean, that was a lot of craziness. And the big story is that CLG, after all that, are able to stabilize.
Well, yeah, so you said, like, oh, this reminds me of Immortals of old. Well, Team Liquid reminds me of Team Liquid of old, which is not good.
No,
they
not at
had
all.
another game against C9 where they got like 4 kills in the early game, 3K gold lead, and then it never expanded, and it just slowly shrunk down. And once again, Team Liquid, with all these advantages handed to them, can't actually start turning them into their own favorable plays.
3 early kills on Jhin, the first blood onto Fiora, and still not able to craft the victory. But let's look at some of the things that CL did to get themselves back into it, and I think it goes back to the point you made at the beginning of the day, Kobe, playmaking. And not from Dardoch, from Afromu of all people. We'll take a look at this one 17 minutes in. Huge play by him in the top lane.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, we're definitely shouting here for the Bard play as we see the dive coming onto Darshan. And it looks like he's in a very, very bad spot, which he is. Yet he's able to work around the turret here, get away from Rainover, think he's going to die to the Fiora finally here, but the timely ult from Afromu, and then he gets in with the magical journey into the flash stun and gets the counter kill. Just absolutely great, you know, Bard play from him, especially after yesterday. I think this bodes well, really well, for the summer split of CLG. Because one of the things we talked about was, you know, bringing Dardoch onto the team is one thing to get this aggressive, you know, playmaking jungler, but how will the rest of the team of CLG step up around him and maybe kind of be inspired by Dardoch's work ethic?
Yeah, definitely the meta helping out a lot for Afro here. When you stuck on, you know, the Lulu and the Karma, it's a lot harder to have a large impact, but you start having Thresh, Bard, Rakan, things available like that, he can start taking over games.
Now, the other thing we were looking at the outset of the day was how teams would be utilizing the Rift Herald. And Kobe, you were saying, I'd like to see a team get a kill first or set up a play. Well, CLG does exactly that. They deliver in this game. Rainover dead, pulling out the Rift Herald to get 2 turrets out of it, plus a fight on the back end in order to really push their advantage.
And if you guys were watching the game and you saw that gold graph in the game, you know, Team Liquid, they did kind of hold on to that early lead up until this big point. Before this push, CLG, they're able to get that pick, and then they use the Rift Herald that they've been holding on to, and this is how you get multiple turrets out of it. It's after you get a pick, after you get a map advantage already, and you try and force that advantage open. So not only do they get this turret, but then they have this opening here to go for the dive. You know, Hui's right onto that back line. They start deleting them there.
I think the big thing is when you're playing against a team with Rift Herald is you have to play so much safer in a sense where each mistake is going to get punished way harder. So Rainover getting picked off in the mid game, yeah, not usually that big of a deal, not great. But when the other team is able to drop a Rift Herald at the end of that pick off and you have to defend 4v5,
it's 4v6 now.
Yeah, exactly. It's super hard. And then the big thing is as the Rift Herald, you know, does its big charge at the turret and deal damage to it, people often forget that it's still there. And so you have to kind of deal with that. And Team Liquid gets baited into going into a fight as the turret drops, still 4v5 at this point, and they get blown up.
Now, player of the game this time around going to be awarded to Afromu for that playmaking. Of course, it's kind of a strange situation where he was in part giving away that lead early with, as you mentioned, the flash under turret and the aggressive plays. But hey, if you mess up one aggressive play and then have the next 10 succeed, I'd call that a win overall.
Also, you got to think that he's the one in-game leader here is contributing to the stabilization after the big misplays that went on early for them.
That's a good point.
Mark was talking about, kind of reminds me of old Dardoch, and you were talking about that as well. On Immortals, you know, those bad things would snowball together, yet there is a comeback here.
Yeah, level of composure shown here from the veteran. Did you have something you want to add?
No, I was just going to agree. When Dardoch is the guy who's in charge of making sure your team's operating, and then he makes a play like that in the early game, that's when those teams fall apart. Here with Afro, like you said, to probably be another voice to calm him down.
To be fair, Dardoch did get the first kill for CLG after all the shenanigans, when he went up top to go gank, so.
There you go. Redemption. Game 1 in the books for CLG. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, we'll see if Team Liquid can bounce back in Game 2. Don't go anywhere. You're watching North American LCS.
Yeah, let's go. Grayson, die one more time to give Sam confidence.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Damn,
Samson.
I'm so confident now. Game over.
Lolo's roamed down as well, Darshan. He's might be a little too far forward. Smite there from Random, but Darshan going to get chased down. Nowhere good to flash, and that's first blood to Lolo. One more in, flashes over, but a great Bard ultimate might save Darshan, and it will.
He actually carried the bar.
Oh,
Which is going to get a kill.
Afro gets the stun, portal through the wall, and takes down Lolo.
I can get him. Okay. Looked in. I got both the flash. Oh, we're fucking nuts.
Hell yeah, Zach, let's go.
Piglet zone completely off of this one, and they're just going to slowly hit the next attack. Golden Glue moves forward, but there's game 1, CLG.